Equation from where we left. We practice with our function. Days today, like nobody's talking.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Esther, your sound is low.
Yeah.
Vayo, hi.
Hi, Eva, how are you?
Good, good. We are just three. Who is Zoom user today?
Oh, sorry, it's Mwende. I didn't realize I had not edited the.
Okay. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Good, good. So, Esther, you were saying something. Sorry, I didn't get it.
Is now my audio better or still the same?
It's better.
Okay. I was asking where the rest are, and if we have practiced our functions, if we have questions from yesterday.
Daphna has not practiced. So we might not have a question for now. No.
All right, just a reminder of what we did yesterday. We did the differences between functions and formulas. So for the better part of the class, we did functions, which are predefined. You will find them in the ribbon. There's a tab called function. It's called formulas, but now it has the functions. Then the formulas, it's when you input it yourself, like when you are doing the concatenate, and then I was just adding the and, which is the logic. Yeah, so that is it. We didn't cover the logical functions, but we will cover this one today. And then we did this. Most of them were these ones. We did a lot of text-based functions and what they mean. Statistics, we did some, and some of them that you know. So for today, we are going to start with the logical function. These are some very important functions. Even in other languages, when you go to Python and such, you're going to use them.
Hi, Esther.
Hi.
Yesterday, you had said you're going to share another, what do you call it? Another data that would help us see the difference between clean and trim.
Yes.
It was shared?
No, I didn't share, but I will
Oh,
share.
okay. Okay.
As we depart today, I will share.
Okay.
Yeah, and also someone asked of how you be able to know if something is big or not. With a time, you might notice the extra spaces are not visible to your eyes. You remember the function that we did with length, the length? Yeah, so the length function is able to help you to realize because it counts spaces. So you might notice a name like Eve, and then it's telling you the length of Eve is 10. So you already know there's something happening in it. So with that one, you're able to differentiate. Once you do trim, you're able to come down. So now the 3 is the name Eve. And then if they still don't reduce, now you know you have some unprintable characters that are there that now needs to use the clean function. So with len, it helps you just notice the length of your characters. So I will share a data set that we'll be working on tomorrow and over the weekend. We'll go through it on Monday. So that will be useful to see how those functions work. Sawa sawa.
Sorry, yes, yes.
So now I was talking about logic. So most of the time when you are working with anything, we have to use just logic. So for example, if it rains, we'll carry an umbrella. If it does not rain, I don't need this. So this is a way that it is programmed that, you know, this has to happen. Or if this happens, I do this. If this other thing happens, I do this. Another very common one is grading system. You say, if this person scored 80%, this is an A. If this other person scored a B, this is a scored an 70, is a B, C, and such and that. So that is how we use now the logic function. And then most of the time, you'll see we have this if and we have ifs. So there is a singular form and there's a plural form. So you might find you want to do all these conditions. Like you say, this example that is given here, it's just giving two conditions. So it's either a pass or a fail. So if you do a 50, you're a pass. If you do less than 50, you're a fail. But now I had mentioned another category where we have 80, 90, and such. We want to arrange our performance in that way. So with that one, when you want to use multiple conditions, that is where you use ifs. We will see how you're able to apply those. So for and or, so please, maybe this one, they should make sense now, because once you start using other languages, it becomes easier once you have a foundation from here. And means both conditions have to be approved. So for us to graduate here, you have to have a pass mark of 70% and have an attendance of 80%. I didn't say that is how it is supposed to happen here, but just an example. So if one gets a 70% from the grade, but the score, the attendance is 60, they just came for either one class or two classes, that person is not going to pass because they didn't fulfill both conditions. So, and is very strict. Both sides of the bargain have to be fulfilled for it to be achieved. Or is a bit flexible. So you achieve one. So whether the first one is correct or the second one is right, so you're able to achieve it. So if one attends 70% of the class, but they didn't get 70% in the grade, they'll still pass because it's an or. So that's the difference. And both have to be achieved or just one. Yeah. And then you have a not. So not ni reverse. If something is true, becomes false. So if A2 is greater than 50, if the results were true, it had to be false. So it gives just a reverse of it. For this if error, we said we will go through the errors as a lesson on its own. So whenever you divide anything, let's say now, for example, this is just an example. We have divided our cell with a 0. It will give an error. So for most of the time, if you want to return a good error that you're able to read, or someone has to read, because at times you might see a cell just written NA, you might not understand what that means. But if you give a custom error, say you divided by 0 or input a correct value, at least the one who is using it is able to know it or whatever is happening at that point. So those are some of the logical functions. Any question on the theoretic parts of the logical functions?
I haven't understood the if error, but I guess when we go to the practicals, maybe it would make more sense.
What the if does?
Mm-hmm. If
Right.
error.
Oh, if error, okay.
Mm.
Yeah. I hope we have our screen up now.
Yeah, we can see.
So we said most of the time they're usually at that point. So today we are basically covering the logical function. So we have started with our if. We said it usually tells us when you hover over it, it will tell us what it is doing. So it checks whether a condition is met and returns one value is true and another the value is false. Also, so if we want to do, we use now our monthly salary. Okay. Let's use this one. So is equals to if we can just say our cell is that. So we want our salary to be greater than 100,000. Then if that is true, we say rich. Else they'll be broke. Then we enter. It seems everyone in this company will be broke. Okay. Again, it's not clear. So everyone is broke. So we can bring down the salary kidogo. We do 70,000. So at least we have now a mix. So anyone whose salary is above 70,000 will be rich. Anyone whose salary is below 70,000, they are poor. Okay. And now let's say we had someone who had like 70,000. Let's put this one at 70,000. You can see they're still called broke because our function says greater than. So if we wanted to include the 70,000 in the rich category, would have done greater than or equals to. Sawa. So that is the if. The other one we can do an if. You can see have very many ifs. If we have said ifs now do more conditions. So you can average if now given several conditions, but you also have the if without the s. So count if, max if, and such. So we want to do that. So a logical value. If it's true, if our J2 is terminated, then we say out. Then if active, we say employed. You go on and on and on. On leave, oops. B. So the reason I'm putting this to hyphen is because that is how the strings will be identified. So most of the time, our cell will identify will read this as a text as it is. So this one is reading an error because it's just reading the cell as it is, but that's basically the concept. If we wanted to have now the status at this point, we've terminated. So you come and do, if now our category, this category of ours, if J2 is equals to terminated now, then it will give us out. If J3 is equals to active, like that. Let me remove these ones because it will take a bit of time to write the whole condition. You see? So the ifs can even just take one. So it means you are comparing it with something else at another point. I can even just write the word at that point. So in this category, in this cell, if whatever I'm looking for is there, it will just pick it as we go. So I can add a second option. Now we do if J2 is equals to, so we still have now active, we do active again. Yeah, did I write the active? Yo. So our argument will be so our first one was out. The second one is just reading as not a number. So let's put the active here. And then we come edit the function again. Is equals to 3. And then one thing else that you'll also notice is that these ones are moving. So we wanted it just to remain as this. So anytime we are doing this point, we are just getting that O2. So this is where now we do our something, we want to do something called absolute referencing. So at this point, I don't want this cell to change. So whether I move to the next cell at J3 or I'm at J1, it will still remain to be this one. So I can now do absolute, that will be an absolute. So I just pressed F4. So you can just put the cells as they are. So anytime I am doing the second condition, it will always remember that it is not changing those two cells. They will remain as they are. So whether I mean, you see now it read, hurrah. No, it did not. And my function disappeared. At what point did it disappear? Did not, Nini. My function did not update. I don't know why it's not picking the active, or we have extra spaces. Now you see these are the things about having extra spaces. You can see there are some that have extra spaces. So let's go down again and see if the other actives will be taken. Yeah, you see? So you can still, we can keep going back and forth thinking our function is wrong, but this one has extra spaces. That is why it can't read it as active. Now you see the point we were using the other function, the clean and search. So it would have kept going back and forth and forth and forth, but it's because this one has extra spaces, and that one can be achieved by just in the length of our cell. So it's 10, it has 10. And the other active one has 6. So yeah, so you can see That one, if you didn't clean your data well, we'll not be able to achieve those parts. So for the if functions, that is how you handle them. You can have whatever you're looking for at one point, then come add in everything that you want at that point. And with that, we have also been able to cover the absolute references, but we are going to come and mention them again. So that is ifs. Do you have a question for ifs? So just like we said, ifs can take one. So if we remove this other second part, we just remove the first one, it will work, which is the same thing that if does. So it will still work that way. All right. So we do something else. We move
What's
next.
the shortcut for absolute referencing? Is it
F4.
F?
Yeah, F4.
Mine has refused. I really tried.
It is doing what? So when I'm here, I just highlight the cell as it is,
Yeah.
then press F4.
Mm.
And if I remove the F4 again, it removes. Is it working? Anyone else whose F4 is working? Ama huyo ni wa Mac.
Let me see what mark. Mimi ni wa
Wewe ni wa huku, you are
mimi ni wa
one of that.
huku.
Anyone else who
Yes.
has tried
It's always working. I'm just wondering what is it?
today?
Why is it? Yeah.
It's like yesterday how my autofill was not working. So remember yesterday my autofill was not working.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and it is now raining in case, just in case.
Okay.
Alert me in case my audio goes again. So we move now to the next one. If error. Remember we said this is an easier way because it gives you an UI if you don't remember what you want to do. If I don't remember the function how I need to put it, this one will give me an idea of what I need to do. So for example, I want to, this is the value, yeah, like here where we were. This is what I want. So if we find an error, this is expression is an error and the value of the expression itself otherwise. So it will give us that value initially. If we don't get that value, what will it give us? Now the error that we said. So if we specify not out, but most of the time, this is not a good error function. So an error is the same way that you log in and it tells you that you didn't log out. You entered a wrong password. So you see now these other cells didn't have what our cell had here. So all these NAs will be now what we were looking for. You see? Does it make sense now? So to bring it again near home, we can put it in front of this one. We say if error, so if it doesn't have an error, it will return that part. If it has an error, it will give us not correct. No entry, let's say no entry. So you see all the NAs that we had will now move to be, it's not moving again. I keep forgetting to write it again. Oh no. It doesn't update my function each time. Now you see the difference. So instead of just writing for me NA, just shows me no entry. So for whatever we were looking for, we don't have an entry. That is the if error. I hope we have understood that now? You okay with that? Yeah, people. You know, I might not know whether I'm alone here.
We are together.
Yes, yes.
Mi niko na wewe.
Ati kona?
Nasema mi nasikia, sijui kama watu wengine pia siwezi ongelea mtu.
Sawa mtu wa Arsenali. Alright, thank you. But I hope it's okay. But if it's not, you can always go back and see what each function was doing. So now we are done with the if. If this was if was here. Anyway, hata tuwatumiangi hii data as it is. This was if, and this was the ifs, true, if error. Ziko zote pamoja, we combined them. Haya, now we move to the next thingy. What was it? And so how do we do our and also? The same way, just come here, look for and. So what is our first logic? The same way. Our cell here should be greater than, we said 70,000. And then the second logic, our status should be equals to active. Remember, we're doing this because it's a string. So you can continue adding as many as you want. You can see it keeps bringing new ones. So it tells us it's false. So to return a false. Why is it returning a false? Or F2? Yeah. It's greater than 70,000. Our salary is greater than 72,000. But our status of our employee is terminated. So he's not reaching that criteria. So let's say we want to add bonus or something. This person cannot be given a bonus because we're not reaching that criteria. And it appears nobody. Oh, we have a few truths. This one is the only one true that I can see here. So this is a person whose salary is 80,000 and they're still active. Remember, even this one can be able to achieve that, but because we didn't clean our cell, it is now missing these people. It can miss all these people because it is not clean. So always remember the first thing before you start giving values and such and these opinions, you have cleaned your data and it is in a good format. So you can now see, for example, this one will be missed. This active one will be missed. And he has achieved that category. So for or we said it's a bit forgiving, or just works if you have one of the conditions that has been reached. So just for the fact that we just use it, we come here the same way, we look for or. You see not here. Okay. And just write it is equals to or. And then what are we checking? Our first logic, the same. Our salary is supposed to be greater than 70,000. And then we do our second one, which was our status should be equals active. So you can see the difference already. This one had achieved one, he had that salary, so it becomes true. So as long as one condition is satisfied, our OR function will show true. So that is when you just want to be a bit lenient with whatever you are doing. So that is where you use that. Okay. And then now we have the not. So we say is equals to not. So our logic F2 is greater than 70,000. Is that 70? 70. So it returns false. He said it is bringing the inverse of the truth. So our salary was 72,000. So it's supposed to return a true, but because you have put a not in front of it, it will bring the inverse of it. I have not seen scenarios where I need to use such, but maybe you might find one where you need to negate the results of what you are getting. So whatever is true will become false, and whatever is false will become true. Okay? So I think for logics, you can be able to keep checking the others as you go. Those are the main ones that you use. I am not sure if people have
Hi,
yes.
Esther, could you please just go through that again?
Which one? The not.
The not making sense. Yeah, it's not making sense.
So for not, it is returning the inverse of the correct answer. So we just said we want our salary, our F2 is supposed to be greater than 70,000. Ideally, it's supposed to give us a true, but because we put a not in front, it will say false. So when you are doing, I think either in Python, you usually put something like that in front of your query. So that any point it runs and sees this hyphen, it knows we are negating whatever you have. So whatever results you get, whatever was the answer, if it is true, the first response was true, the output will be false. If the output was false, the result you get will be true. It's just an opposite of whatever it's supposed to be. So if we do without not, let's do here without not. Is equals to, we can just do if you greater than 70,000, then just tell us true. Actually, even if we leave this one, what can happen if we leave it? We just leave it. You see, without not, it will give us as true. So, but once we add not, it just negates whatever we had. Does it make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
So it's just an inverse of whatever it was. So I was asking if we have that function, the let function. Because I'm seeing some functional just for 365 and either kina lambda. So switch also does the same thing. Switch can be used in place for the if and the if. So you can just write your expression and your value and then it will return. So the same way we were doing the if, it's just the same way you can do the switch. Sawa, but you can be able to go through them also. We said there are so many, there are over 400. We might not be able to do all of them. So before we do, yeah, let's just go to dates. We do dates and then we can do the absolute references, but I know by now we have been able to get how it is. So dates is also another big thing.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ask.
Before you do the dates,
Yeah.
my and not are returning almost the same. The same
Not
one.
really.
Yeah, mine, I've said mine.
It's just it's returning the same thing.
Yes. So I
Okay.
don't know if I got the formula wrong.
What send your condition in the chat, what you have used in the and.
And this is what I have. Have you seen it?
Yeah. Okay. So this hand looks like ours. Yeah. If she's comfortable, are you comfortable to share your screen?
No problem.
Okay. You can share with it.
Are you able to see?
Yes, it's now visible.
Okay, let me just expand it. You able to see now?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is what I've done. So
Mm-hmm.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So
Which
for
is correct.
terminated, it's false.
Yeah.
The instances where it's active,
Mm-hmm.
but the response, it should be true, but it returns false.
Remember we
For
mentioned something
example,
like
like, oh, sorry, that one is terminated. There was one that was true. I mean, that should be true, but
you can
okay.
go into the second one, the very second.
Up here.
Yeah, the second one.
Yeah, you see it's false.
Yes, and I explained why it was false. If you remember when
Mhm.
you were doing the if function,
Mhm.
I took a while to be able to achieve it because the J has extra spaces, and that is why we used length to just see the difference.
Mhm.
So that is why we said ensure your data is clean before you work on it. Let's go to
Okay.
column K and just try to see the difference at
Column K.
Yeah, now in cell 2, just 2 is equals to the length. Calculate the length of our J. We see the difference.
The length of J.
Yes. Then now autofill. You can see the two different actives,
Mm,
the active 3 and the active at 11.
where is 11?
Row 11.
Row 11 has 6.
Yeah, and the one in 2 has
Oh, has 10.
10. Yeah. So you can clean it. Let us clean it as we go. Someone give us the function to clean it. Calvin's.
Calvin's. Calvin's, what should I do?
It's raining. Even mine, it's raining.
Mhm.
Just type, we'll see.
So is that okay? Clean?
That one can clean or it cannot. Let us see if it will clean.
Okay.
Yeah. So close it and then do our L. Yeah, autofill. Then let our L call our L clean. Our L.
L clean.
Yeah, the title, let our title be clean. And then now we do the length again.
Okay.
You
So
can see we still have some spaces that are visible.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we whatever this column
Yes,
K.
yes, we are not doing column K, we see the length.
Okay.
Add another column again. We can add two.
Okay.
Yeah, now we do trim. So
So we trim K,
we can trim the original one. Trim
which
J.
is this.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
It's allowed. You see now the difference? Now we do
Yeah.
the length again.
Yeah. We do what?
The length in column N.
Okay. Why is this thing hanging? Okay.
We are doing now the
We
M.
do this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Ah, sorry. 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 So we were doing length for this. Is it?
Yes, now you can
Yeah.
see it's clean. All
Yeah.
our actives are now 6. Now we
Yeah.
can change our and. Let's move to the and column. It was the and that had a problem. Now we move to what? M.
F2
Instead of
to,
J, no, instead the second one,
oh,
the J.
sorry, yes, J.
Yeah, we do now M2.
We do M.
Yeah, then now you can again autofill. Yeah, you see now it became true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
yeah, so that is one importance of cleaning our data. So
Okay.
clean will not remove the extra spaces. Clean will
But
remove
trim
the,
will.
yeah,
Okay.
clean will remove the unprinted characters, which we have not given an example yet, but it is also very important. Once you do your clean and you notice some things are not working, that is why you bring your clean.
Okay.
Yeah, now you can see they're different with not. Any other question as we are still on your screen? Or someone
No.
else who has a
Oh yeah,
question?
oh yeah, oh yeah. So,
Mm.
and what? Wait, which one was return? Which one did we do active? This one.
Yeah.
So supposing
Mhm.
we want to say if F2 is that greater than 70 and is active and on leave, so that it can also give us, if the person is on leave, it still gives us true status, because you can see this one. There was one that had 80, but because they are on leave,
Okay.
it gave us the response as false. Example, this one.
Yeah.
Yes. How about if you only want only the terminated and the retired to remain as false, but anyone on leave and active to give us as true?
So that will mean we'll have to combine our queries. We use both and or.
Okay.
Yeah, because you see, remember now we had they're all in the same cell. So if we still continue doing the and, remember we said and everything has to be achieved. Let's
Achieved,
try.
yes.
I don't know if
Yes.
there is someone who is willing to help us. Joy.
Thank you.
Someone. Yani hivi ushaacha kushare screen ama umesema you will try on your end?
I thought I was giving space to someone else to share.
No, we were still on your screen. They were just helping.
Sawa, no worries.
We see how it will work.
Okay.
Anyone willing to give us an idea of how we are doing it? Okay, you can create a new column again. We call it and or.
Hi, Esther.
Hey,
Are the other guys there? Or was the other
pardon?
people they are off?
People have
Guys,
left.
who's there?
No, guys are here.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry, I'm saying, are the other people really there? There's Joy, there's Monday, Vio, Calvin, think there's somebody who didn't join today, if I'm not wrong. One or two people. Okay,
No, I
just
think we are
proceed.
all here.
We are all here now. Godwin,
Oh yeah, Godwin. Yeah. Godwin is not here. You're right.
Godwin is not here.
Violet might know the formula.
Sorry, Esther, just proceed.
Hi, Abe, could you please repeat your question? What are you looking at achieving?
So the formula for AND, okay, was specifically focused on the employee who earns above 70,000 and is active. So I was asking, how about if I want it to return the employees who are not only earning 70K and active, but also the employees who are equally on leave, so that we only have false for the persons who are retired or they are terminated. That makes sense because they're on leave, yes, but they're still active in essence.
So you use and or for
And
that.
that's what Mwalimu is asking, how will the formula look like? Calvin, umeenda mute tena.
Acha tupea formula akaenda. Haya, let's do it then. Rudi hapo kwa P. We start with is equals to again our and. Our salary column is which one? The F.
Salary column is F.
And then greater than 70,000. And then a comma.
Is there
Then
usually a space or
not necessarily. Haina issue na space and such.
haina? Okay. It
For
doesn't have
formula.
any effect, huh?
Yeah. Then now we do our or.
After the comma.
Yes. Open the bracket. We do now. We are using our trimmed one. Our M.
Yes,
Yeah.
the M.
Yeah.
I do this.
Yes. Is equals to now our string active. Close it and then another space and then. Oh no, we are still the same. We are still not yet done. Go back to the query again. A comma. Then we do our M2 again. Is equals to on leave. Or if now this is another place, just remove the on leave. Because we said at time it can be, you can type and then you put a space with error yourself. So just go to our cell that has on leave. We have on leave on that one. And then lock it. Make it now absolute reference that it will not change. Yeah.
I lock
the M4.
M4
Yes.
here.
Yes.
And here is where I was having issues. Let me see if it will like. See, I'm doing F4, but it's not responding.
Select it. Highlight the M4. No, in the formula bar.
Oh, in the formula, sorry. I highlight.
Yes, highlight. Now, F4.
F4. Nothing. I'm F4 yangu haiwaka.
F4 with nothing, with equal to plain search without nothing.
Hakuna.
But yake manually basi. Ama Calvin ako na ingine.
Yake haifanyangi kazi hata kwa nini. Other softwares.
Upgrade your machine. Just put the absolute manually.
Kwanza kwa dates. Hapo kwa date ndio.
Yeke tu
Sasa manually nitaweka aje ziko.
Si unaona enda hapo tu kwa M, before the M. The M for the first M.
This one.
No. That one.
This one.
That no M4. We are at M4.
Here,
No, yeah, there.
after
Then
the equal
shift,
sign.
yeah, shift dollar,
Shift
dollar.
kwa keyboard.
Yeah, shift and then dollar. Dollar sign number 4 at number 4.
Oh yeah.
And then it'll end up before the 4. And then the same shift dollar. And then now
Sawa. So naweza close.
close.
Tujamaliza.
Tumemaliza.
Tujafanya on leave.
Si ndio tumeweka on leave. Okay,
CM4 is on leave.
so what you have
Oh,
done,
sorry.
we have just avoided typing because to avoid the human error, just to ensure that the cell that we are using is as it is in our clean data.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what is it telling us again?
So it has corrected this.
We didn't close all our nini. If you can see,
Oh yeah, I
we
didn't
put
close all the
two.
brackets.
Yeah, we
Yes.
didn't close all the two. So we said we should also be able to read our errors. At least it helps. Okay, now enter everything. We go down. Does your function work now?
Let's see. If you see an 85.
We have this 75 at 61.
61. Yes, it's true. Yeah, it has worked.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you'll try your F4. If it doesn't work, just use the manual one.
Okay.
It will not work.
It will work.
Shindwe.
Right, so let's now go back to our next one. We are moving to dates.
It's
We can mix kidogo. So for dates, you will notice, let's just start with the very basic one, today. If you are in Excel, just run your today and check how your format looks like. If it looks like mine or it looks different. You just do the same equals. We say that is how you just write a function, then just do today, close, and then enter. See the dates that you get from your side.
Equals today.
Do we all have the same format or we have different formats?
Mine is the same as yours.
Okay. Anyone who has a different one? So for dates, most of the time you might find it depends with how your system is set. And as we said, you can see our dates here in this other one. They have very different varieties of dates and such. So when you're working with this column, it can become very stubborn because of how our date is set and being able to clean it. So if you want to change your date, you can come to this point. It's not at info, it's options. Just below at the end, you have options. Then from the options, you can come to languages. So from these languages, this is where you set your preferred language. So if I do UK, let me change and do UK.
Funny, which one did you have initially? US.
United States. It was English, United States.
Okay. Who uses
That's no
United
problem. It
States?
will tell me to restart. But if now, if I restart, it will take forever to come back. You will notice the UK format is different from the US format. It didn't change because I didn't restart the whole office thing. But in case you change that point, it will have a different format. So it's always good to know the local language that you're setting so that you know the format that you're using for your dates. So that is how to achieve today. That is one function. It just gives you the date we are in today. If we want to see even time, you can use now the function now. So now it's supposed to give time. I wonder why mine is not giving time now. Is anyone else now giving time?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Now is there. It gives the
Mine
same.
doesn't have time.
Even with now,
Mine is only giving me the date.
both today and now,
Yep. Today and now returns the same
the
thing.
same thing. Try
Mm.
again, a different cell again. But now it's supposed to give you, even with the time that we are in.
Hmm? Yeah, I've tried in a different cell and it has worked. Kwa nini?
So it seems the same way I had done initially. I was working in this cell and it's like it had identified the today in that cell. So I don't know why, because even mine the first time it refused to work, but after that it's kubalid to work. So for this one, remember we had in our home tab, we had these dates, these different number formats. So remember we went through them the first day. We did different number formats. So the date that we have at the moment is a short date. If you want a long date, you can just do that and you find the date has changed. Now we have this one, the whole Wednesday, Nini and such. So for this one, you will notice there's a day this date thingy disturbed me a lot because the UK version, there's a way there's an extra comma after the 9th April. So as long as that is there, the US one will not work. And then also you will find there are versions that have month before, then date at the center. So it becomes very confusing when you're working with them. You know, at least this one, if you're using month date, you can say this is 9th of September, or this is 9th September 4th. We have those ones that start with month and date. So it's always good to know the one that you're using. So whenever you're working with them, ensure that at least you have one format so that you're able to extract whatever you want. So that
What's
you
cell number V2?
B2, this one.
Yeah, it's
So
today.
I just came, yeah, this is today. I just came in our number format and I used the long dates.
Yangu hainiletei.
Inakuletea nini?
Yangu hainiletei. Ngoja. Hainiletei when the day is. The day. It's just 9th April in words.
Just 9th April in words.
9 April 2025. Yes, highlighty Wednesday, 9th April, blah, blah, blah.
And you checked which language you are using at that language's point.
I want to assume it's US. I didn't check.
It is usually US.
Let me check.
Let me return it back to US.
It's US.
Okay.
Preferred.
Anyone else mwenye at that point where yours is not giving the long dates? Ama ni setting iko hivyo. It might be a setting also. Remember we also say these things have settings. You see mine now at that point. Once I open, you see what I've opened? You can select the options that you want at this point again.
Oh, where did you go? Sorry.
So we mentioned that the numbers we had this can drop
Oh,
down
yeah.
here.
Okay.
Yeah,
yes.
once you're at that point, you can change and choose now the other locale that you want it to show. And you can see now we lose, it will become March 14th or whatever. I will not have the Wednesday. So it became like yours. So mine was doing the Kenyan way. If you saw the dates, when I got into my dates initially, it was reading as the location was English Kenyan. And now when I changed to English US, it picked the March 14 only, the date, the day, and the year. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Date is usually a very tricky column because of all these settings. So unless you want to convert it to one universal, and then also date, can be numbers. So you see, when they are doing the UTC, it starts from 1970, I think it's 1970, 1st of January 1970. So it counts from that date till the date we are in today. So all the entries of dates can be numbers. So just the same thing, you just come back and then convert them to date and it will give you the dates again. Sawa sawa.
Mm.
Yeah, so we can now start doing some things with the dates. We want to return someone is talking. Let's say we want just to return the month from our date. We can have the month function and then we pick our cell to return our month. So it goes that way. So it will return as a number. We have different ways of returning the month. We have another function called text. So if I come, do our cell V2, and then I want to return month. So here there are different ways I can do MM. It will give me that way. Or I can do again the same text. I do triple M to return a short month. Or I can do OM to return the entire month. Sawa sawa?
How did you shorten 4th of 9th? So that's Selvito.
This one in Y.
V.
The V. It's the format again. Remember the format changed. It went now to US. So it's still US.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the US. So yeah, it's just as a format. You can go back at that point. Yeah. So those are the different ways you can get our month. So someone else to give us our year. Give me different ways I can get the year. Tuongee. The same thing. We have the year function. Pick our year there. It will return the same. And then we can also do the same again at text. And then we have this. Then we can do for year. Returns the full year. Then text again. Does 2 Y's work? Not sure for year if the 2 Y's work. Yeah, so it returns the 25. So that way, so you can be able to extract different things for the year. If you want to do the date, you still do the same. Then you have something else very interesting from this.
Unapotea, I don't know whether it's my network.
Pole pole. Can everyone hear me? I have been lost again. But remember kwetu kunanyesha kaa kwa kina Calvin. So yeah. We can also do something like getting the difference. So most of the time you can have 2 dates. The date when, let's say our date today and the date when someone was hired. I think we have that date in our cell. We had it, yeah, the date hired. But this one will disturb us because you have to clean it. So, but ideally, you can be able to calculate the difference between the date when someone was hired and our current date. So you use a function dated eve. So this, I don't know if we have it, it's also a legacy function. But even if you work with it as it is, it's going to work. So let's pick that one. So our syntax, did I check what our syntax says? Or it didn't even bring, but you can check online what it says. So the first part of the dated eve is the start date. I don't have it in my functions thingy, so I might not be able to show the function, the syntax as we usually do. And then the last date. And then now the third one has to be, does it pick dates, days? I think it picks the value. Either I want difference in month, days, years, and such, the same way that we were doing. So if I want to see the difference in years, I'll just do the difference in years. So we have 3 years from the start date. So we see our E3, it was 2021. Now we are in 2025. So it will pick the full years that are there. If I want to count in months, I'll just change this point and say in months. So it will tell me between that, from the time this person was hired to the date we are at today, we have 43 months. Then we have other
Repeat
functions
the
still.
formula.
Pardon?
K-
The
kindly-
formula.
Repeat.
Yes, Calvin, you're saying something?
Yes, I'm saying you pardon.
The formula. So,
Like the formula, yes.
yeah, so our dated eve, the first argument is usually the start date. And then the second one is the end date. So, for example, we are seeing the period someone has stayed with us from the time they were hired. So our first will be the date hired, and then the V2 will be our current date. Then we have said, if we want to return years, we'll do this as year. If we want to return month, we return it as month. If you want to return days, you return it as days and such. So it will count the number of days between the very first one to the last day that we are in it at the moment. Is that okay?
Yes.
Right. So you can be able to
I don't
see.
have dated if. What did you say about that?
Yeah, we don't have it. It's a legacy function. It
Oh.
still works, but it is not there. That's why I was not able to show us what it means.
So,
Yeah. It's in the older versions of Excel, but it still works. So yeah, just know start date is the first argument, end date is the second argument, then the third is the category. You say the unit, whether you want it in years, in months, and such. Yeah. But apart from that, we have very many others for days and such. So for day, this is the one that we didn't do. If you remember, we did month and then we did year, we didn't do day. So day the same way we did. It will return the serial number 1 to 31. Then you have a days one. Return the number of days between 2 dates. So this seems like a replacement of this other one. So our end date is today. And then our start date is, we said it was E3. Is it the same? It gives us 19 days. Sawa. So days is giving the difference between. So, but now it is an inverse. The other one we were doing start and then end, but this one starts with the end date, then the start date. And then for these key dates, the e-date will indicate the serial number of the date that is indicated, that is the indicated number of months before or after the start date. So the e-date, our start date is today. How many months do you want before or after our start date? So we are in April. I want to take my leave in the next 3 months. So I do 3 months. So, and as always, it will return a serial number. Remember we said dates are numbers, but I can just come here again and convert it to dates. And you can see it took me to when it went to 3 years. Yeah, but it went all the way to 2029. It's like it added everything together. So we do it again. Do that one. Right, see dates. Our start date is here. And then we went 3 months. Still the same. Still goes to, oh no, this is okay. So the other one added the one that we had done before. Remember we had something in this query that was before the number of days. So this one is correct. It is giving us 3 months. That is now for the edit. So yeah, so for most of them, you can be able to see them from this point, as we said, from the formula point. We have the e-month. Return the serial number of last day of the month before or after a specified period. So our start date, as always, that one can bring issues again because we're using a cell that had something. We use an empty cell. We move again to date. Then our start date is today. We do again 3 months. Remember I said to return a serial, but we can convert it to date. So anytime you're subtracting and then you find something that does not make sense as dates, remember to just convert. Now you see the difference. The date will return the exact date after 3 months. For the end of month, it will return the end of the month for that month that we want. So we said we want after 3 months. So you return the end of the month after 3 months. Wow. Then you also have a very other interesting formulas like the network days. It returns the number of whole week work days between 2 dates. So we have the network days and then the network days international. So this one will identify, so we are starting from today, and then we say the end day. We say the end of this month. 04 30th 2025. You didn't want me to put a serial, not a date? Interesting. Can't take it as a date because it's a negative. Didn't pick them. But yeah, so for network days, it's supposed to pick with the holidays in between. And then we have the work days. We also have a weekday. This one picks. And then you have serial numbers. So you will notice when you have the return type, it will tell you either one, which now will represent one is the Sunday, and then you have another one that has two, it goes all the way. So you're able to identify the one that you want. And then you also have another function, the work day. So with the work day, it gives the date that you want to start with. Actually, we would have done with the one that we have. So we have today, and then returns the serial number of the date before or after specified number of work days. So days is the number of non-weekends and non-holiday days before or after Saturdays. I think we have a holiday in the next 14 days. So let's say 14. Then it returns something. Then you're able to see what did it return. To return 14 days now of the working days. So from there it has removed those holidays that are there and the weekend. So we'll be able to count 14. For us to get 14 working days from today, the next one will be on 29. So if you add here 14 days, you'll see it's 23. But now we are getting 29, meaning yes, put into place the Easter and the Sunday in place. So yeah, you can play around with the date parts and see what the different parts do and such, so you can be able to utilize. But yeah, basically that is it. So remember the format. You can be able to subtract the dates. You can be able to split and get particular column, either you want a month or year. Other times you want to do either time series and you have the different years. You just want to do the years or you want to do different months. So you can be able to do that. Sawa sawa? We take a break or we continue to our lookup.
Break.
Okay, 5 minutes. Then
Okay.
yeah, back. Okay, 5 minutes are done. We can be able to come back. Let me know when you're back. Here. We proceed.
Mi niko, I don't know kama wengine pia wamerudi.
Hata kujua tukienda break.
Nilikuwa na shida ya net, sijui ni mimi peke yangu. So kurudi nikapata kila mtu amenyamaza.
Maza. Ah. But kuna maswali? Any questions?
So far sina leo sikupata time ya kuenda through class ya jana, ningekuja na maswali.
Hai. Na mimi nitawachia maswali mengi. Whether I'm giving an assignment after this. You can tell me when you go through it whether you need any guidance or you're able to try figure it out on your own. Just whatever we've done in the course of the week.
We can always reach you when you have a question. Maybe you give us an email or something.
Hamna email? Hata kwa Google Classroom iko but yeah, ni sawa.
Your personal email.
Yeah, Google Classroom iko, even if you post in the group, I'll still see. Yeah, but I will give you.
Nice.
Also give you an issue.
Okay.
Yeah, are people back?
Kama menda kukula.
Walisikia 5 minutes wakaenda.
Okay, like let me ask a question.
Yeah.
Like when you're given data, for example, I just give you a random data that like hata uelewi, like you understand nothing. So what's the first thing you're supposed to do?
Remember when you were doing the life cycle, you take it.
You
The
try and
first thing is
understand the data. Try and
understand the
understand the
problem.
data.
The
Yes,
problem
the
first.
problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so with no data, we said data will speak. You beat it, it will speak. It may not speak the truth, but it will speak. So most of the time, understand the problem. So what do you want to achieve with this data? What does this person want to see from this data? Yeah, so most of the time, if you are not able to understand exactly what the problem is, you will keep going back and forth. You will even create big models, you will create beautiful dashboards that do not add any value. And in the end of the day, you're dealing with different stakeholders. But just for the one that I'm giving, it's just basically for learning. So not even real data, generic. So yeah, we're just
Okay, like
using it for.
I have some samples of data that I downloaded for just personal studies.
Yeah.
And when I look at them, I feel scared.
You feel scared? Share some. Share some. We see. Maybe you can share your screen. We see one.
Let me see.
I hope you know I'm waiting for you to.
Yes. I'm open. Name. No, I'm looking for a specific one. There is this one that really scared me.
And if it really scared you, maybe that is what I'll do for the assignment. But you first share.
That is?
What I will give for the assignment.
No. Yes, let me now share my screen.
Share, we see, share, we see.
Let me first. Ooh. Are you seeing my screen?
Yes. We didn't download data sija. Like I just look at it It's a very good data set, actually.
and it's a lot.
It's a very good one.
Oh, this one is. There is also another one.
It
But
might be
this one-
clean. Might be clean, but
No, there is this one that was really dirty. It had some blanks, and
mhm,
I look for it.
yeah. But this is good. This will be an assignment at some point. We'll be able to use it to do a few things, especially when we are able now to start visualizing and such and writing reports. This is a
Okay.
very good data set. But we might not be able to clean this one. It looks relatively clean from an overview.
I'll look for the other one. When I get it,
So
I'll share
keep
it.
this
on
one
the group.
safe. Keep this one safe. It will be used.
Okay.
Once you get the other dirty one, also share.
I'll share in a few. Maybe you
Okay.
can just proceed as I.
Okay. So just well, I hope now everyone is back and my screen is visible. Now we have done this referencing, and I hope you are now able to use it. We said minus for each whose is not working. We have a shortcut. It is 4. It is going to give you the referencing. So for relative is the one that we had before. You remember when you just put one in a cell. So you go to the next cell, it changes and such and such. So at times you want to lock a cell. So either it has a function or it has something that you want to identify. So you just lock it completely. That even if you move to whichever cell, kindly mute. Even if you move to whichever cell, doesn't move. That is what we do with absolute. Once you see these dollar signs anywhere, just know we have fully locked it. So even if we pull the cell down, we drag, it will not change. It will always refer to the cell that we're using. And then we have this other one, the mixed one. So for a mixed one, you can either lock a column, like this one is locking a column. But now once we move to the cell downwards B, it will move to B, but it will always remain in the column. Then you have this one, the other way around. That is now locking the column. The column is the one that is in letters. So this one is locking the column, it's leaving the row open. So you're able to drag it up and down. So that is very important, especially now when you're moving to VLOOKUPs and such. So it helps you know which cell is absolute, so that once you're moving, at times you might think you're getting the right thing, but you left it at relative. So it is moving with every cell, so the function is not functioning right. Sawa sawa? So that is it at that point. And then we have these lookup functions. They are very important. They help a lot of data that you want to work with. So it can help you find something from one table, bring it to another table, or from one cell to another point. So you're able to identify it. So we have four more or more. We have the VLOOKUP, the HLOOKUP, the index match, and we have the XLOOKUP also. So for V, as you see, the V is vertical. It searches per column, going column wise, and it does it towards the right side. So it cannot go to the left. So let's say whatever value you want to look for is in B, but we have another column in A. So it cannot go back to A to read that data. That is one of its main disadvantages. It only reads every other data on the right side. So it can't go backwards. And then for HLOOKUP, it's just VLOOKUP, but now working with rows. This other one is doing columns. For HLOOKUP, is doing rows. So you want to identify something in a particular row, you use the HLOOKUP. You will find that the most common one is VLOOKUP for most times, but you can also use HLOOKUP. Now, because of this issue of the fact that you can't look to the left, and at times you find the data is dynamic, it's changing, you have data being added here. Remember, it's very hard to get real world data that is static. Most of the time it is in databases, it keeps being added every time and such. So you'll find you have extra data that is coming on and on. So the VLOOKUP might have these challenges. So what we use is something called the index match. These are two different functions, but they're used together most times. Like we had seen earlier, something like there was a function called find. If you remember, we used a function called find. Find was returning a cell reference. So it was returning a number. So even for match, the match will return a cell reference. So it's like you're trying to match this particular thing. When you find it, it returns the cell 9. And then you're able now to return it now from the index part. So you're indexing this array, and then you're able to find it. You can also use match alone with VLOOKUP and search. So that is what we are supposed to cover. I hope we'll be able to cover it in a few, though I might request to drop at 9 kidogo, then we can be back if we still are energetic. Have we understood the difference between VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP, and I didn't do X? X you will do. That one I will leave as an assignment we'll be able to do. Do you have an idea what a VLOOKUP does? Somebody respond. Madam, najiongelesha. Hello, Kenyan. Can you hear me?
Yeah, me I can hear you. Ni kama watu wanakimbia.
I'm wondering where the rest are. Nobody is responding.
Watu wako
Wende?
Tunapika ugali.
Tena saa hizi. Sasa VLOOKUP itaingia tukipika ugali?
Imagine.
Itaingia ukweli ama
Haiwezi, of course.
tufanye namna gani? To introduce alafu to pick up from there.
Yeah, we can introduce it. Oh, that's me. Not, I'm
That
not
is
so
you.
sure about the rest.
Calvin najua leo hana maneno mengi. Timu yake ilishinda jana. Yeah, the rest, anyone feeling the energy is draining?
mi niko sawa, maybe wao wengine
Calvin,
waseme.
najua unasema tuende until 10. Mimi najua utasema tuende mpaka 10. Anyone else? We can introduce it and then we can pick it up. It's among the last functions that we have. So what we pick up on it on Monday, it will be very short, very fast as we move, and at least the mind will be fresh, so you'll be able to move very fast.
Can I suggest on something?
Yeah, suggest.
When asking questions, just go direct to people.
I just pick people. I didn't like that as a student. I didn't like being picked. So I usually pick you because I know you're very comfortable, but I didn't like being picked in class most of the time because maybe I'm cooking ugali. So yeah. Sawa sawa, let me just introduce it. Let me
Kumbe
see how
Eve
it looks like.
Eve anapika tu ugali huko.
Nakwambia watu wameenda kupika ugali. Yeah, like I don't know if it is that that was very big that made the glucose go down because even my glucose is very down.
At least niko na support.
You can see
Kama
how all
hana-
these functions. Hmm?
Looks like Violet is probably washing or something.
Yeah.
Kama unafua kumbe.
Are you
Siri ni
in your
ugali,
defense?
siri ni ugali 6:30.
Unajua sasa kama ulikula 6:30 sasa uko na njaa. But it's okay. I think I would want us to do very good with VLOOKUP. I would not want to rush it.
Introduce tu bora usintroduce na mbio. Introduce tu pole pole, then we finish it on Monday.
Yeah, that is one thing that I would want us to do was especially for you to say that you do Excel, one of the main things that you will have to be able to answer is something like a VLOOKUP. So if you're not able to answer that, it becomes quite problematic of your Excel. So let's say I have a very huge cell, a very huge data set that I want to look for something, and I don't know at what point I will be able to find it. So I can come and decide, maybe when this is just fake data, so it may not be very correct. So let's say now we have another, even it can go to an extra sheet, a different sheet. So we have this one there. Then we can go, we want to look to find for this particular employees in our data set and see, are they still employed or did they ever leave? You can check anything, you can even check their salary and such and such. So now we introduce our dear function, the VLOOKUP. I don't know if someone has used any other cell, any other tool. There's something usually called joins that when you have
Yes.
different tables, you can be able to join them with something. So most of the time you usually find there is a common column. So you want to pick a package, let's say people who shop online, you want to go pick a package. They have your detail there, an ID written in your package. But when you present yourself, they can't just give you, you have to give another identification. So you show your ID and they're able to match those numbers and say, truly, this is your package, pick it. So the same way for all these functions, the two have to have something in common. And most of the time, whatever you're using can be either distinct or not, but there has to be something common between the one that we want to use and the one that we are checking. Sawa sawa? So what value do you want to check? This one. At that point, that is what we want to check. Where do we want to check it from? From our table. Just picking a very big table. So the problem is that now my table is very confused. So it wasn't very big, so I can be able to highlight it. But ideally, normally, if you're working on a big data set, you can just do Control A. Then it is going to give you whatever you're doing. And did I lose my function again? So instead of having the problems that I'm having here, you can see I'm having some problems with my functions and that. It is always good to work with them from the formula bar here. At least it will not keep confusing you. So this is our range that we are trying to work with. So you can do Control A. And then another way you can also do is rename this point. Once you have selected your Control A, it gives you this toolbox bar there. You can be able to give it a name. So let's say I did select. If I do this, it is going to pick almost everything. So we don't like that one there. But now I'm at this point. Yeah, just picked my entire cell as it my table. You can see it just picked whatever had data. So I can name it here and say range cells, range data. I don't know if Excel usually has the problems we get with other tables of reserved words. So whenever I want now to do my function at this point, instead of keeping selecting, because I might need to keep repeating the same formula, instead of keeping repeating, calling it every time, I am able to just call the name that I wrote. So VLOOKUP, we are looking for this. Then for if I want to bring it again, I can do now F3. You see it is bringing the name of the range that I saved. So I'm able to just call it there. So you see it has highlighted it. If I didn't have it that way, I will still again do Control A and it will highlight for me that range. But now this one saves time. And then from there, now that is what is called the table array, the table that I want to return. Remember we said for VLOOKUP, it just returns anything to the right. So this is our column. It can be able to return everything on this side. But if we picked this column to be our lookup, we cannot be able to pick employees, names, department, and such. But now this one is at least easier. And then for the column index number, this is the column that we want to return in our table there, if you remember. And for us, we wanted to return our status. So when you're doing whatever you're doing now, we'll just count 1, 2, 3, 4. I think this is 10, up to 10. Then we have the range for lookup. We say these other parts are optional. So for this, you can choose if whether you want to do an approximate match. So the value in the first column of the table must be sorted in an ascending order, or you can do a fall. So you can choose to either do one. So for 1 is when you want a true, and then for a 0, when you want an exact match, and then you enter. Then when you come to our cell, it is giving an error because I don't know where the function went. It's like I never wrote the function in that cell. But basically that is what you do with a VLOOKUP. Sawa wadau?
Sawa.
That is an idea of what a VLOOKUP does. But we'll go through it. You can be able to check it and see. So yeah, I think we can end it at that point. I know this one, the formula disappeared, but we'll go through it after this, and then we'll have an assignment to do. I'll share something. Yeah, I can invite Levix to just say something before we close for today.
So you're done for the day, huh?
Yeah, they had mentioned that bringing extra content might not be understood.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So tomorrow you've what's going on tomorrow?
Exactly my
Okay,
question.
you can end
That
the
was
recording. Who is host? Oh, I say you're hosting, you can end the recording. That is if you're done with it.
No, but I've never been a host before. So where do you end the recording?
Just up there on the far right, there is
For the
just
recording point. Oh, okay.